to my channel. My name is Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're new, you're absolutely welcome, and if you have been day one, thank you so much for your continuous support. I couldn't have made it this far without you, so I really truly appreciate each and every one of you. And going back to the newbies, you're absolutely welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I just basically talk about my experiences in South Korea. So today I decided to do an interview video. What are some of the do's and don'ts, I think, from my personal opinion about getting an interview? Well, for me, I went through a series of interviews before landing my teaching job here. So a lot of them I flunked, obviously. And surprisingly, the last one that I did, I booked the job. And yeah, so I'm gonna, based on that experience, I think more or less the right person to give that kind of advice. Before we get into the video, I applied using a private company. So if you're interested in applying with that company, the link is in my description box. But I always do suggest to everybody that before you take this teaching job, make sure that you do your research, honey, because a lot of the times when you do your research, there's so much information that I may not be able to tell you or other YouTubers about that are living in South Korea maybe might have missed or something. So I always suggest that you do your research, come into terms into understanding which route you want to take, and then you'll decide from there. So yeah. All right, so let's just jump into it. So my first thing will be especially when you're coming from South Africa, and if you are going to get a company to get you a job or whatever route you're taking, in most occasions you will get like a Skype interview. So you need to have data and make sure that your phone is charged, because you might get an interview at any time. My personal experiences, well, we all know that I don't know how it's like right now. I mean, we didn't have Wi-Fi at home, so, and I used Vodacom at the time when I was going through my interviewing process. I bought I bought a Vodacom airtime, Vodacom data. You know, one of those ones, the way they say 1 gig for 1 day or something like that. And I remember I did that in before one of my interviews, and it didn't work. I don't know why. I hope it doesn't happen with you, but make sure that you have sufficient amount of data and and Wi-Fi and electricity, and that your phone is charged, because you don't want any interruption. There are a lot of people that are applying to come to teach in Asia, and I mean, if you say, I'm sorry, I didn't have load shedding, I mean, we don't have load shedding here in South Korea. They might not understand what you're talking about and think that maybe you're making up an excuse to, and they want people, they want to hire, they want to get the process over with and done with. So make sure that you're prepared in that regard. And I would also suggest that when you do have your interview, be presentable, look good, put on a bit of makeup, dress appropriately, and make sure that your environment is like free from any disruptions. And yeah, so that you can just have this one-on-one conversation, and they are not interrupted or distracted, and simply just seeing you shine. Yes, you must shine. And another thing that you should have is you must be able to speak confidently. They want to hear that twang. I've been criticized so much about twanging on my channel, but they want to hear that twang. Baby girl, baby boy, if you do not have that twang, you might not just get your job. Make sure that you're clear and that you put on a bit of a Western accent if you can, because that's what they're looking for. And when you do come here, you're gonna realize that the way the English is very different to the one that we taught back in South Africa. If you are from a country that speaks British English, they do not speak British English here in South Korea. They mainly speak American English. So it's color, not color. It's butter, not butter. You know, it's candy, not sweets. So make sure that you're up to date with that language and that jargon, so that when you come here, you're not struggling and fumbling. And you know, when you're unable to confidently teach and speak well, you might get fired. So make sure that you're confident in your speech. Put on that accent. It doesn't matter who criticizes you. Your nasal is gonna get you that money at the end of the day. Speaking of money, when you go into your interview, make sure that you do not give the impression that money is what you're after. Show that you are passionate about children, passionate about education, passionate about the language of English, because that is what is going to attract them and possibly land you that job. So make sure that you have a sense of passion for what you're going to be doing here. Present yourself well, and speak boldly and clearly and confidently, and believe in that you will be able to do it. And I know that sometimes we might be doubting ourselves, because this is a big thing that you're doing. You're coming into a foreign country and you don't know what to expect. There's that fear element, but present yourself as confident as possible and bring in your lively personality. They want to see life, they want to see happiness, they want to see joy, they want to see smiles. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you have that before you even start. Moving on to the questions, you might get questions like, do you have friends around Asia? They want to know that if you come here, are you going to be able to have a social life? Because they understand that if you have a social life and you're working, you'll be okay mentally. If you don't have friends, well, most of us don't have friends, but you need to ensure them that coming into a foreign country is not going to be a mistake, because they want to know that they are making a good investment at the end of the day. You need to show that you are strong and capable of living however long your contract is, and you will be able to do it confidently. Because sometimes people come here and they realize that it's hard. You're not home, you are in a foreign country. Most of the time you will not see people that look like you, so it might impact you mentally and physically, and might interfere with your job, or you might just decide, I'm gonna go home. So then that's a loss for your employers. So they want to know that you're capable to be able to come into a foreign country alone. Research on the country that you're going to, whether it be China, South Korea, Japan, or whatever. Make sure that you do research around that country. It shows that you actually really have an interest in being in that country, and you're not just coming here for money. So make sure that you present yourself in that manner, that you're passionate about the culture, you love K-pop and you want to be immersed in that environment. Whatever it is, make sure that you are well researched about the country and the region that you're going to be staying in. Please make sure that you put in the comments whether or not you would like to see a video of me talking about which cities people should be thinking about if they come to Korea, because different cities cater for different personalities. So if you want me to do a video on that, please make sure that you comment in the comment section below. Moving along, make sure that you prepare yourself for questions that are gonna put you on the spot. So if you're coming to teach here, they might ask you questions like, if you had to describe something like sinking or floating, what would you do? Like, if you had to explain that concept to the students, what would you do in that instance? I remember I flunked this one because I didn't expect it. I wasn't prepared for something like that. But you need to be able to tell them that I will go to the extent of bringing in visual representation, even if it means bringing a bowl with water and bringing in objects that are going to show you which ones actually sink, and sink or float and bring in visual aid, and they want to know that you are creative enough, because learning a language requires you to have some form of like imagery. You can't just learn a language by just me saying table. And these students, most of the time, it's their first time being exposed to English, and I mean, table makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to them because they don't understand what you're talking about. Express that you have this creative side to you, that I will bring in visual representation. I'll bring objects to the classroom. If you're musical, if you are theatrical, bring in those elements of creativity, and show them that I will go to the extent of doing this, being creative in the class, playing games with the students, engaging them in a way that at the end of the day they understand what you are saying. So if you're creative, make sure you bring that out to them. Other things as well, they could ask you, the possible questions would be like, would you do in an instance of where children or students are misbehaving in the classroom? What is your management skills? So for me personally, so they don't want you to be uncertain of yourself, or say that, oh, I'll just run to a co-teacher or whatever. You need to be able to stand firm. So I reward good behavior, and most of the time the other students that aren't rewarded, they feel guilty within themselves. When they didn't do their homework, they feel guilty. Oh, I could have gotten that, I could have gotten candy, I could have gotten like a reward stamp. Bringing that element of, if students behave well, I reward them, stuff like that. I hope that this video was informative. If I come across anything else, I will make a part 2. If you do have any questions, please make sure that you leave them down in the comment section regarding interview tips. And remember, private company that I did use is in the description box. And remember to do your research. Don't just rely on what I'm saying. This is just the first step into what information you need to gather before putting yourself in the situation of moving abroad. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, but it should be okay. I'm making it sound like Korea is a scary place, but it's really not. Just be able to work hard when you get here. Also present yourself well, so that when you do leave, and you create a good imagery, especially for us South Africans, so that we can make way for the other South Africans to come in through. Because if we underperform, it's gonna leave a bad stigma that, oh, South Africans are not performing, and it might hinder other people who are in desperate need of an opportunity to come teach in Asia. So make sure that you represent yourself well. Be jolly, be full of energy, be full of light when you are engaging with students. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you on my next video. Kia le rata, tata tata tata. Until next time, bye.
Feeling